The nature of overthinking and the path to presence. Overthinking is often a state of persistent mental noise, a relentless loop of rumination about the past or anxious projection into the future. This continuous activity obscures immediate reality and hinders effective action. The mind, in this state, treats transient thoughts as solid facts, leading to entanglement and a profound lack of clarity. Mindfulness presents a pragmatic and accessible method for disengaging from these mental cycles, offering a return to the direct experience of the present moment. This shift is not about stopping thought, but about fundamentally changing one's relationship with it. Foundational practice, anchoring to the present. The core mechanism for interrupting overthinking is focused attention. The breath serves as the primary anchor. It is an objective, immediate event that requires no mental analysis. When attention is deliberately directed to the physical sensations of the breath, the rise and fall of the abdomen or the feeling of air at the nostrils, the mind is given a neutral, present moment task. The mind by its nature will wander. This is not a failure, but simply the mind doing what it evolved to do. The practice is not about maintaining perfect focus, but about the act of returning. Upon noticing that attention has drifted, perhaps caught in a worry about a future event or a replay of a past conversation, a gentle, non-judgmental acknowledgement of the distraction is made. The attention is then deliberately and softly redirected back to the breath. This repeated, intentional redirecting builds the capacity for sustained, non-reactive presence. Observing and labeling mental activity. To find clarity, the mental process itself must be made observable. When a cycle of overthinking begins, the first practical step is to objectify the thought. Instead of diving into the content of the thought, the mind simply notes its category. This is the practice of mental labeling. For instance, if the mind begins to worry about an upcoming task, the internal label is simply planning or worrying. If a memory from the past arises, the label is remembering or judging. This technique creates a vital space between the observer and the mental event. The thought is seen as a mental occurrence, like a cloud passing in the sky, rather than an urgent directive demanding immediate engagement. This detachment reduces the thought's power to trigger a cascading emotional or narrative response. It moves the experience from "I am a worrier" to "there is worrying happening now," integrating mindfulness into daily life. Formal sitting practice builds the capacity for attention, but true liberation from overthinking requires informal mindfulness, bringing this awareness into everyday activities. This transforms routine actions from automatic, thought-filled periods into opportunities for presence. Mindful eating, paying full attention to the color, texture, aroma, and taste of food, interrupting the usual habit of eating while simultaneously planning or consuming media. Mindful walking, focusing on the sensations in the feet, the lift, the swing, the contact with the ground, thereby anchoring awareness to physical movement and away from abstract thought. Mindful communication, fully listening to the other person without simultaneously rehearsing a response or formulating a counter-argument. These small, intentional acts dismantle the mind's tendency to constantly run on autopilot, which is the fertile ground for overthinking. They train the mind to rest in direct sensory experience rather than in internal narrative. Working with emotional undertow. Overthinking is frequently fueled by unprocessed emotions. Anxiety often manifests as worrying about the future, and guilt or regret as ruminating over the past. clarity is found by directly acknowledging these emotional states. When an intense emotion arises, the guidance is to shift attention from the story the mind is telling about the emotion to the physical sensations it produces in the body. Where is the feeling located? Is there tightness in the chest, heat in the face, or a knot in the stomach? The emotion is observed as a changing physical phenomenon, a form of energy. There is no attempt to judge, fix, or suppress it. The practice is one of allowing. By staying with the physical manifestation of the emotion without attaching a narrative to it, the emotion is often found to dissipate or shift, and the impulse to overthink the situation weakens significantly. This allows for a response rooted in wisdom rather than reaction. Cultivating non-judgment and self-compassion. A critical and often overlooked component of finding clarity is the cultivation of a kind and accepting attitude. Overthinking often involves harsh self-criticism or judgment of others. Adding judgment to the mental process only compounds the noise. Mindfulness encourages viewing thoughts and feelings, even difficult ones, with an impartial curiosity, akin to a scientist observing a specimen. When the mind catches itself in a loop of self-criticism, the wisdom is to recognize the thought as judging and allow it to pass. The application of self-compassion involves acknowledging the human difficulty of dealing with an overactive mind, treating oneself with the same patience and understanding one would offer a valued colleague or friend. This shift from an adversarial relationship with one's mind to a supportive one is essential for sustainable mental quiet and enduring clarity. The path is characterized by patience and persistence, recognizing that the capacity for a clear, present mind is cultivated over time, not achieved in a single effort. Outcomes: finding the quiet mind. Consistent practice leads to a natural unfolding of benefits. The mental space between thoughts widens, creating an inner stillness that is not dependent on external circumstances. Overthinking does not vanish entirely, but its grip loosens. When a decision is needed, the mind is less burdened by extraneous detail and emotional bias, allowing for a more intuitive and grounded wisdom to emerge. The sense of overwhelm diminishes, replaced by a quiet confidence and a capacity to engage fully with the reality of the present moment, which is the source of all true clarity.